Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So this morning we're very blessed to be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 22. So we have it up on the screen, so we will read through it, but we'll just recite the invocation first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nara Devatvam Apana Nara Devatvam Apana Nara Devatvam Apana Sura Karya Chikirshaya Sura Karya Chikirshaya Sura Karya Chikirshaya Samudra Nigrahadini Samudra Nigrahadini Samudra Nigrahadini Chakre Vyani Tata Param Chakre Vyanyata Param Chakre Vyanyata Param Naradevatvamapana Surakarya Chikirshaya Samudra Nigrahadini Chakre Vyanyata Param Okay, Nara, human being. Devatvam, divinity. Apana, having assumed the form of. Sura, the demigods. Karya, activities. Chikirshaya, for the purpose of performing. Samudra, the Indian Ocean. Nigraha Adini, controlling, etc. Chakre, did perform. Viryani, superhuman prowess. Ataparam, thereafter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. Please repeat. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers. By controlling the Indian Ocean. And then killing the atheist King Ravan. Who was on the other side of the sea. Purport. The personality of Godhead, Sri Ram, assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods, or the administrative personalities, to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with a spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord, but puffed up by tiny success in material advancement. Sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravan was one of them, and he wanted to put ordinary men to the planet of Indra, heaven, by material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly, reaching the heavenly planet, so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Ram, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife, Sita. Of course, Lord Ram came to chastise this atheist, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravan, and the complete activity is the subject matter of the Ramayana. Because Lord Ramachandra was the personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravan, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring in weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord, by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, he made the stones even within this earth to be weightless, and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantika Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasali Koda Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpaturubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangam Langayate Gurim, Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande, Shri Gurim Dinataranam. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. So, I was thinking about this chapter. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And I was thinking this chapter is kind of like a trailer for the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like when you want to go and watch a film at the cinema or on Netflix, or perhaps it's the film Hare Krishna, the mantra, the movement, and the Swami who started it all. Now, whenever there's a big film that's being brought out, they always bring out a trailer, right? And the trailer is just giving some little snippets of what's in the film. But what is the result of seeing the trailer? If it's a good film and if it's a good trailer, what is the result of seeing that trailer? You want to go and see the film, right? So, you know, there was a film once made called The Greatest Story Ever Told, speaking about the Bible. So, some people consider that this is the greatest story ever told, but the Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest stories ever told. Of course, they're not stories, they are histories. They are the Puranas. Puranas means history, the histories. And this is the Bhagavat Purana, or the Amala Purana. It means it's the spotless Purana. In other words, it means it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 100% on Metacritic. If you're a film watcher, you'll know what I'm talking about. In other words, it gets 100%, all reviews. The Srimad Bhagavatam means the beautiful pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. And the Lord's pastimes are unlimited, and the Lord's devotees are unlimited, and devotional service is unlimited. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is also unlimited. We've mentioned before that on the earthly planet we have 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Put your hand up if you've read all 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you haven't, but I would thoroughly encourage you to make a plan to read all 12 cantos. There are some devotees in our movement, like Vaisheshika Prabhu, His Holiness Keshav Bharati Maharaj. They read the Srimad Bhagavatam every year. So it takes, you have to read 41 pages every day to read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam in a year. It takes about an hour and a half or something. So, you may think a year is too much, but we've mentioned before, but there's a nice app called Be a Sage, page by page, and it takes all the Srila Prabhupada's main books and it breaks it down. So you can see that if you want to read, for instance, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, in 5 years, it will be 8 pages a day, which doesn't take long, 10, 15 minutes or something like that. So we should make a plan actually to read these books. Srila Prabhupada said, I didn't translate these books just for them to be distributed. They are for my disciples, they are for my followers to read. So count yourself lucky you don't live on the heavenly planets where there are hundreds of cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We only have 12. But we don't want to stray too far from the point. This chapter is a trailer for the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read this chapter, it just gives some little glimpse, some little hint, to whet our appetite and think, yes, I'd like to hear more about the pastimes of Lord Ram. So therefore, to read about the pastimes of Lord Ram, you have to reach the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, Srila Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam that the Srimad Bhagavatam should be read consecutively. It should be read systematically from the first canto, because the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Lord's lotus feet. When you approach a respectful personality, and especially the Lord, we should first focus our mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord. When we have deity greetings in the morning, we shouldn't just look straight at the face. It's described that meditation begins at the lotus feet and then gradually to the ankles, up to the legs, then the waist, then the chest, the neck, then the face, and then the crown. So this is how we approach a respectful personality. So in the same way, we should begin at the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We should make our way systematically. And then Srila Prabhupada says that when one has completed the 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they will be what? Does anyone know from Prabhupada's introduction? After completing 9 cantos, one will be? Yes, one will be a fully God-realized soul by completing the 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, when we're reading this chapter, like we said, it's like a trailer, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is the pastimes of the personality of God and his devotees. And in this particular chapter, there will be 20 incarnations that are mentioned. So, for instance, in the next verse, 24, Lord Buddha's appearance is mentioned. In text 25, we have, actually, have we already had, oh yes, sorry, no, the next one, 23, 19th and 20th incarnations are Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna. Then we have the 21st, would be Lord Buddha. But again, the Lord's pastimes are unlimited. The Lord incarnates in all the different species of life. We have only some of the main ones that are mentioned. And in one sense, even just this verse, we'll read it again. Even just this verse is like a trailer for the Ramayana. We heard last night that Mother Saraswati is reading the Ramayana at the moment. So, in the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist Ravan who was on the other side of the sea. So that's kind of like the whole Ramayana in one verse, but it's just like, it's a little teaser, and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. I'd be interested to read the Ramayana, I'd be interested to read the ninth canto, but I have to read all the other 8 cantos to get there. Like that. Who puts on a movie and skips to the last scene of the movie, right? So I'm going to say film. Who skips to the last? Has anyone ever watched a film and forwarded straight away to the last scene of the film? We don't do it, do we? We watch the whole thing. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is written in such a way by Srila Vyasadeva that it's, by reading it, as Srila Prabhupada said, we will become a fully God-realized soul. First we'll understand the majesty, the greatness of God and all these different incarnations. So then when we get to the 10th canto and we're hearing about Krishna's pastimes as a cowherd boy with his cowherd girlfriends, that we don't mistake that he's just some ordinary human being. No, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we shouldn't imitate his pastimes. So that was just a little reflection, this chapter. And actually, the previous chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, they're like adverts. You get a billboard. You see the trailer, but, you'll see a billboard that just has, Sunday Times, amazing, you must see this film. Or, just like some little hint. If it's the new Batman film, it might say, Gotham City, is under attack. There's only one man who can save it. It's like, like that. So in the previous 2 chapters, these are just little adverts. What is this all going to be about? Now, today we are speaking specifically about the personality of Sri Ram. Srila Prabhupada says the personality of Godhead Sri Ram assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods. What is the pleasing work? Prabhupada mentions it in the purport, but what is the pleasing work the demigods wanted King Ram or Lord Ram to do? Anyone, any ideas? What was the pleasing work?
Relieve the burden of Ravan.
Yeah, release the burden. Ravan, he was, we hear about how the fact that he kidnapped Sita and this and that, but actually he was a great demon, and he was a burden for the Suras. There's this word here, Sura Karya. So Sura means the demigods. And Asura, if you put an A before any word in Sanskrit, generally it negates, or it means the opposite. So you have Chalo, right? Like in India, people say, Chalo, chalo, let's go. But Achal, if chalo means go, what is achal? Don't go. That's a mountain. The word for mountain in Sanskrit is achal. In other words, it doesn't go anywhere. Like Srila Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. They don't move. So, anyway, we won't get too much into that. But yeah, so achal, non-moving, that's a mountain. So Sura means the demigods. They're godly persons. They're following godly principles. They're following God. So therefore, what is an asura? If it's the opposite, what is an asura?
Demon.
A demon, or someone who's not following God. They're not godly. Now, Ravan, he was a great personality, and actually he got his power from, who was Ravan a devotee of? Lord Shiva. Yeah, so he got his power from Lord Shiva. He was a great devotee. So generally the demons, they're interested in getting some kind of material benediction. They're worshipping, they're performing some kind of bhakti. We use the word bhakti loosely. Bhakti literally means only for Bhagavan, devotion. Like we use this word, we roughly translate bhakti as like devotion. But actually, that's not quite correct, or worship, like bhajan. We say it means worship, but literally it means worship of the Supreme Lord. Like we've given the example before that in this day and age, people worship many different persons. They worship, singers, film stars, footballers. But that can't be called bhajan. So simply you can't call it bhakti, But he was worshipping Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he is known as Ashutosh. Ashutosh, what does Ashutosh mean? Easily pleased. But also easily angered, yes. But, we can worship Lord Shiva, he's easily pleased. But generally the Asuras, they're worshipping, they're doing their bhakti. Because why? Because they want some material benediction. They want some name, some fame, some adoration, some distinction, some gain. And therefore, we should also be careful for ourselves that when we're worshipping the Supreme Lord, we should make sure that it's bhakti that we're performing. We shouldn't want anything for worshipping the Supreme Lords. Gosh. What is the verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that describes pure devotional service? Thank you. Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Kama Janavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. So pure devotional service is described. It means service which is favourable. We should want to we should be eager to serve, we should want to serve. It's favourable. Not like, Prabhu, Mantaji, can you come and help me with this service? Sometimes like at the end of japa, we might have been, we're chanting japa, we're really chanting. And what does chanting japa, how does Srila Prabhupada translate japa? The Hare Krishna mantra, how did Prabhupada translate it? Please engage me in your service, right? And then Krishna's saying, oh look, she's been begging for 2 hours, please give me some service. I'm going to send this devotee along, because service comes through Krishna's devotees. You don't think when you're going to get to the spiritual world, Krishna's going to say, no, it goes through the devotees, through the mandaris, through the cowherd boys, through the gopis, through Mother Yashoda. Service comes through the devotees. So a devotee comes and says, Prabhu, Mataji, would you like to help me with this? Sorry, I've got some rounds to chant. That's a classic, isn't it? Would you like some service? No, because I'm going to ask for some service. Anyway, sometimes we may have some rounds and we can't. But, are we eager to serve? Are we in a favourable mood to serve? And it should be free from any desire for any type of gain through philosophical speculation, jnana. And that generally means wanting to become free from suffering, wanting to become free from the three modes of material nature. And speculation, what is the supreme? And from any gain through fruitive activity. We want some enjoyment, or we want some name, some fame, adoration, distinction, and gain. So we should meditate upon this verse. What is pure devotional service? Am I performing pure devotional service? Do I want something from my service? Why am I chanting? Am I chanting to become free from karma, to become free from sinful reactions? Am I chanting just to get fired up? Am I chanting, we should analyse ourselves. Why are we performing service? And in the beginning stages, it's understood there will be some motivations. We don't come to this movement as pure devotees. We come as conditioned souls. But we're supposed to be developing the mood of pure devotional service. Like Saraswati Mataji was saying last night, Srila Prabhupada's given us the process. We're supposed to become great souls. We were speaking about this last night. We shouldn't think, I can't become a great soul. We can, if we follow the process. So, yes, this is the process. So the demons, they want some kind of reward, some kind of remuneration for their bhakti. And Ravan, he became very powerful. So therefore, he was, not a godly person, so therefore he wasn't letting the Brahmins perform their activities, the sacrificial fire. He was stopping these things. So therefore, this is a great burden for the Suras, for the demigods. So like Caitanya said, the pleasing work was they wanted the Supreme Lord to come. Please come, relieve the burden of the earth. This demon, he is too much. And then Srila Prabhupada says for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. So we understand from the Vedic literatures that there are 33 million different demigods maintaining this universe. And it's just like, for instance, in our government, who's really aware of what's going on in our government? I mean, I'm not even sure if the government themselves are sure what's going on right now, but, it's like sometimes, this is just a little point here. It's like, if you've ever been involved in some kind of management, right, it's so easy to criticize the management. We've probably all been on this. So it's so easy to criticize the government. Oh, the government, the government, they're not doing a very good job. But actually, if you have been involved in some kind of administration or management, there's a lot of things that are going on. There's a real headache, right? And we're not aware of so many of the things that are going on. It's so easy for us to criticize. This person, that person. But when you've had a little experience, you realise that there's so many things going on that need to be done all the time. And most people aren't even aware of that. And it's a real headache, actually, this management and administration. For one thing, you'll always be criticised, no matter what you do, because you can please some of the people all of the time, and you can please all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And everyone's got a different idea about what's pleasing. They want you to please them. The GBC is one of the most difficult services, because it's just like people will be criticised, but at least my experience is that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. So similarly, my point is that we may not be aware of what's going on in the government, but actually, these people are qualified. We may say, oh, they don't know what they're doing, this and that, and that's all right for us to say, but are we going to do a better job? If you suddenly had to be in charge of the whole of transport for the UK, what would you do, right? There's a transport minister, there's an education minister. It's easy for us to say, oh, the education system. But, okay, now you take that responsibility to be in charge of that. You come up with a syllabus. You come up with getting all the schools up to the right standards. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's quite... So there's a huge administration in this universe, 33 million demigods. There's a demigod even just in charge of opening and closing of the eyelids. Right? It's like, we just go, click our eyelids, but there's someone in charge of that. We just desire, okay, I'm going to close my eyelids right now, but there's a whole arrangement that's going on. 33 million different personalities involved. I mean, it's amazing, really, when you think about it. But what's even more amazing is that there's one person behind all of that. Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. Krishna's true Bhagavan Swayam. So when Lord Ram appeared, he's not an incarnation, actually. Lord Ram, he is Swayam Bhagavan. He is directly the Supreme Lord. Some incarnations are just partial expansions. But Lord Ram, he is Swayam Bhagavan. He is non-different from Sri Krishna. But he performs a particular function. He comes as the perfect king. Like I would say, Lord Ram, at least in India, he's one of the most famous and one of the most popular incarnations, right? Krishna, he is like seen as a philanderer. He was like a womanizer, or he's just like playing around. But Lord Ram, now, yes, he's following Dharma. He was. So therefore in India, still today, at election time and things, people talk about the Ram Raja. right? They want the kingdom of Ram to be, I'm sure Narendra Modi, I'm sure he talks about these things, that he's introducing the Ram Raja, the kingdom of Ram. Because he followed Dharma perfectly. So therefore it's also inspiring for us when we hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we hear about the wonderful devotees, when we hear about the wonderful incarnations, it inspires us. Lord Ram, how much was he dedicated to Dharma? He gave up his kingdom. Why? Because, Shurpanakha, she had, twisted the mind of, what was her name? Mantra had twisted the mind of Caitanya. That's right, yeah. Because Dasarat, he was very attached to Caitanya, therefore, whatever she said, he had to, what can I do, he'd given her a benediction. One time Caitanya had rescued Dasarat on the battlefield. She'd pulled him out of a dangerous situation where he could have been killed. And because of that, he said, I will give you a benediction whenever you want. So Mantra, she twisted the mind of Caitanya, because why? Because she said, if Bharat becomes, if Bharat was the son of Caitanya. So therefore she said, if Ram becomes the king, you will be sidelined. Your son will be nothing, and therefore you'll be nothing. And in other words, Mantra was thinking, I'll be nothing because I'm the servant of Caitanya. So she was looking out for number one. This is the symptom of a demon or an asura. So when we talk about the demons, we should think, no, actually, like the other day, I was speaking with one devotee, and he was talking about when he reads the chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, divine and demonic mentalities, natures. And he was saying that when he reads chapter 16, he's not so clear where he stands. And I immediately jumped in and said, I'm very clear where I stand when I read the 16th chapter. It's a bit disappointing actually. It's like, I'm a out and out demon. But the point was, Caitanya, she was looking out for number one. She wanted to put herself first. But the point was that even though it broke Dasarat's heart, he was dharmic. Yes, he promised his wife that he would grant her this benediction. He had to do it. That's dharma. That's integrity. You've said, if you look after dharma, Dharma will look after you. If you serve Dharma, Dharma will serve you. Sometimes that means making a decision which is like, it's the last thing you want to do. But Lord Ram, he was so dharmic, he was so dutiful. His father had told him, his father's like, it's his superior. He's told him, you have to go. So he went. And then everyone said, you don't need to go. He was saying, no, I have to go. He's the Supreme Lord, he doesn't have to go. Give up his kingdom. Live in the forest. Of course, this is the pastime, but the point is that Lord Ram, he sets this perfect example. He performs some pleasing work for the demigods, and he sets this perfect example, which inspires us also to follow Dharma. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with the spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. So there are personalities like Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, they're great demons, they become very famous for advancing material civilization, taking advantage of scientific achievements, but challenging the direct order of the Lord. So the example is given that Ravan wanted to build a staircase to heaven. Now, why is that challenging the order of the Lord? What's wrong with that? Wouldn't that be quite good? We can just go on a little holiday to the heavenly planets, go up on a staircase. Why is that a challenge to the order of the Lord? So let's have some suggestions. Jagna.
You need to perform loads of austerities to get
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada mentions, he says that there's a qualification to be able to go. That's the order of the Lord. The order of the Lord, that there are different planetary systems. Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. There's the three planetary systems. The lower planets, the middle planetary systems, and the higher planetary systems. There's 14 planetary systems altogether, but we sometimes just categorize them into the lower, middle, and the higher planets. So just like similarly, you know, that's a bit like sneaking on a plane, right, to go to the Seychelles. That's like a posh holiday destination, or Mauritius even. Could you imagine if you just sneaked in the cargo hold of a plane, right? That's what it's like. It's about like sneaking into the cargo plane and then just jumping out. Hey, I'm here, you know. But there's a process. You have to be qualified. The qualification is that you need some, you need some money. You need some Lakshmi. So there's a qualification to be able to go to the heavenly planets. But you know, rather than puffed up with material advancement of civilization and thinking that he's the be-all and end-all, thinking that he's the Supreme Lord, he said, yeah, let's just build a staircase to the heavenly planets and let's just get everyone up there. But that's a direct challenge. So similarly, it makes me laugh. Prabhupada sometimes words things. It's just like, he just captured it. So Prabhupada said something about the tiny, where was it? The tiny advancement.
Like tiny material advancement.
Yeah. Where was it? Anyway, it just makes me laugh because right now the whole going to the moon again seems to have become a huge thing. Right? That's like considered like the height of your nation. If your nation makes it to the moon, right? And even, I hate to say it, but even now, India, they've just launched some, Chandrayaan or something like that, some probe to go to the moon. And, everyone's, Donald Trump saying in the next 5 years we will put people on the moon again. No, we don't want to get into the whole have we been to the moon or not. But the point is just the very notion of wanting to go to the moon, it's a challenge to the order of the Supreme Lord. There's a process to be able to get to the moon. It's the process of Ashtanga Yoga. The one has to practice for, hundreds of lifetimes. One has to be pure. Actually, if one wants to go to the, for instance, if one wants to become Lord Brahma, one has to be completely celibate for 100 lifetimes. Now, completely celibate means not thinking about, sex life. Not only not engaging in it, there's 8 different types of brahmacharya. One shouldn't think about sex life. One shouldn't plan sex life. One shouldn't talk frivolously with the opposite sex. One shouldn't have, there's 8 different forms of, so 100 lifetimes of complete celibacy, then one can become Lord Brahma. Prabhupada says the routine work of pious activities. It's interesting. Prabhupada says, the routine work. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planets so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. So, one may perform 100 lifetimes of celibacy, right, and become Lord Brahma, for a long time, but then afterwards, if you don't become a devotee, then again you have to come down. So it's like, when we talk about routine work is kind of like something you just get on with. It's like doing a routine. But it's like, routine can have a positive and a negative connotation. But the point is, it's like, what is the point in performing all these activities? In other words, because people don't want to do that, therefore they want it easily. No, let's just build a spaceship and go to the moon. Let's just build a staircase. Why? Because they don't want to put in the hard work. There's Shreyas and there's Preyas. So Preyas means there's immediate happiness. It means that we're concerned with just getting sense gratification, gratifying our senses right now. Is that Preyas or is that Shreyas? That's Preyas, yes. But it means that But it means that then for some immediate satisfaction, then there's a long time suffering. Like for instance, it's nice to just eat a load of chocolate biscuits or a load of ladoos, right? But then the result is that you end up with diabetes or a big fat belly, or you can't dance around in the kirtans. Oh, I'm eating too much. Immediate gratification, but long-term suffering. So this is the mood of the asuras, or the demons. But therefore, because this is the mode of passion and ignorance, Shri Shri Panchatattva. But the mood of the asuras means that, no, follow Dharma. Yes, it's immediate distress, right? Like we said, Lord Ram, he went to the forest, he had to give up his kingdom for 13 years. So that's called Shreyas. It means that one gives up one's short-term happiness for long-term happiness. You know, like we came here this morning. Who didn't want to get up this morning? My alarm went off at 4 o'clock this morning. And somehow or another, by the mercy of Mother Saraswati's inspiring class last night, I got up and I straight away paid my obeisances in the bed. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. And my wife didn't I do that, Jagannath, this morning? But I don't remember the last time I did that, to be honest. It's usually the alarm's gone off, okay, time to hit the snooze, I don't want to get up. Why? Short-term happiness, but then long-term distress, because then you don't get up in time, you don't chant your rounds properly, you don't do any reading, and you have a bad day. Often. So, we're going to try and wind this up now. But the point is that we should try, there's an established order of the Lords. Ravan wanted to disturb the order of the Lords. He wanted to go against the order of the Lords. Why? For his own happiness. And he even went so far as to kidnap Mother Sita. So of course this won't be tolerated. But we should understand that if we really want happiness, if we want true satisfaction, then we should opt for Shreyas over prayers. We should follow Dharma as opposed to adharma. We should develop integrity. We should be truthful. We should be honest. And that means sometimes choosing the thing which might not be very pleasing, but it's the right thing to do. It's the correct thing to do. And that, in due course of time, will bring true satisfaction.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.